Howdy and welcome to LeeReads, where I talk about the books that I've been reading and enjoying lately. Since I'm filming this towards the end of February, I thought it would be nice to start my booktube adventure with a February reading roundup. This month I read 4 books, 2 adult fantasy, 1 young adult fantasy, and 1 adult romance. On this channel you're primarily going to hear me talking about adult and young adult science fiction and fantasy, but I do like to read romance, I like to read historical fiction, and I've been trying to dabble into mysteries and thrillers as well. Let's talk about the first book. And the reason why I only read 4 books this month was because I was finishing Oathbringer by Brandon Sanderson. I'm a little bit late finishing this book, several years late, but I'm glad that I finally did. I don't want to talk too much about the plot since it's number 3 in a series of a planned 10, but I do want to say I enjoyed the character growth that we saw in this book a lot, and of course the plot really kind of took us for a ride near the end. I did get hung up a little bit in the first third of the story, and if you've read this book, you'll probably understand what I'm talking about, and I felt like I really had to push through that, which is strange because I devoured The Way of Kings and Word of Radiance. When I finished Words of Radiance, I wanted to delete the memory of reading it from my mind so that I could go back and experience reading it again for the first time. That's how much I love this series. So I was a little bit sad that I was struggling with the first third or so of Oathbringer. But once I got through that, I really started enjoying it just as much as the previous books in this series. If you're like me and you felt like, this first part, not quite doing it for me, hang in there, keep going. The plot that we see, the world building, the character growth, the stuff that happens is really worth it. I already have book 4, of course, and I'm hoping to read it pretty soon. The thing that makes me slow in reading the series is I get really attached to characters, and I'm afraid that bad stuff is going to happen to the characters I like. So admittedly, that was one reason that slowed me down in book 3, because I thought that my favorite character was going to get in trouble or die, which they did not. So I can't tell you who my favorite character was now, so I don't spoil anything. But yeah, The Starlight Archive by Brandon Sanderson. Please read it if you haven't. After I finished Oathbringer, I needed to just take it down a notch because I was feeling a little bit stressed from, the climaxes that Brandon Sanderson writes. The book is called In a Holidays, which is sort of Groundhog's Day meets life's just not going right in this vacation cabin in the woods, where our main character makes a mistake on this vacation that she's on with her family and her family friends, long time. They've been going to this cabin for 20 years. Every Christmas something goes wrong, and then she relives it. She relives the next several days, and she soon realizes that she needs to fix the bad thing that happened in order to progress onward. And along the way, she discovers what's truly important to her. So I really enjoyed that. It was a very sweet romance, and it was just what I needed after the epic fantasy that I had just finished. After I finished In a Holidays, I read Hall of Smoke by H.N. Long. This is a new release, and it's an adult fantasy, and I highly recommend it. I really, really liked it. The story follows a woman named Hessa who is she's a warrior sworn to the goddess of death, and being sworn to this goddess gives her special abilities in fighting. After the last kind of surge from the potential conquerors, she may be one of the few Inagi left, which is interesting because the book opens and she has just been exiled and she's doing everything she can to get back into the favor of her goddess. So the story follows Hessa as she is navigating the invaders that are near her village, but also the gods, which do walk among the people, are beginning to battle as well. So if you enjoy Roman inspired or even Nordic Viking inspired stories, if you like character driven stories, then I think that you would really enjoy this book. And also I really enjoyed the writing style. The next book I picked up, I actually started last night and finished today, and it wasn't something that was on my TBR, but I got a little drawn in to the hype. So Shadow and Bone by Leigh Bardugo, book 1 in the Grishaverse trilogy, which is getting a Netflix adaptation, and I sort of wanted to know what everyone was talking about. So my library had it available. I went and picked up book 1. It's a young adult fantasy, and I really enjoyed it. The plot kept me turning the pages throughout it. It follows a girl named Alina who at the beginning of the story is learned to be a map maker, a cartographer, and it's a sort of Russian-inspired world, but one of the aristocratic classes are called Grisha, and they are essentially magic users. Her country is riven into by a dark area called the Fold. Dark as in no light can escape the Fold, and some monsters live there, and all the people who used to live there no longer live there. It divides their country in two. Also, enemies around the borders are threatening war, and she is part of a military detachment of surveyors going to survey for the army, essentially. And basically, it's discovered that she has the ability to summon the sun, and when your country is divided in two by a scary place where sunlight can't penetrate, where it's utterly dark, that could be very useful, especially when this ability kills some of the monsters that live there. So she gets swept up into the world of the Grisha and kind of groomed by the leader of the Grisha, a mysterious man called the Darkling. Well, he wants her to help him to bring peace by getting rid of the Fold, the dark area in the middle of the country, and also keeping their country out of war. At least that's what he tells her. So now that I've read it, I'm gonna pick up book 2. I already have that on hold at my library, and I'm also gonna go check out the Netflix trailer, and I'm really excited to watch the show now. So those were the 4 books that I read in February. I have a lot more books that I'm excited to read on my TBR. I don't formally write them. I'm a bit of a mood reader, and so if I say I'm gonna read, X, Y, and Z, I'm probably not going to. But I am planning on doing a recap of what I read next month for you. So if you liked this video, please like it, subscribe, and hang out for more book-related content coming from me. I'm hoping to do author spotlights, individual book reviews as I read them, and kind of reading roundup videos. But let me know what else you might like to see on this channel. And thank you for your time, and don't forget to support your local library. Bye.